Geneen, you shared with me how you love the work of Eckhart Tolle, his teachings, his books, and also that Katara, who has traveled with him and performed when he has made appearances, is a friend of yours. Would you share with us how you came into this insight of consciousness and presence that Eckhart shares with so many?
It's been gradual for me. I think a lot of it started for me when I was young and I went to India and lived in India for 4 months. I was 25. That began opening what the Sufis called the dazzling darkness for me. I had the direct experience that it was possible to live from a different place than I'd been living in, and that what I had thought was possible for human beings to be actually was possible for human beings and for me. So that was the beginning. And it was more a sense of knowing myself.
Was that a sudden thing or gradual?
No, that was gradual in India. Because it was the first time I ever spent a huge amount of time alone. I lived alone.
Oh.
And I was living in an ashram. And there weren't the distractions that there usually are. And I was meditating. I learned how to meditate and chant. And my whole focus went in. So I felt like it was possible to know and be myself without reference to this constellation of ideas and images and identities. I wouldn't have put it like that when I was 25. No. There was just that glimpse and a continual ongoing experience of freedom from restriction and from the constraints of what I would now call ego and personality, but then I didn't know what to call it. I just knew that I was happy and free.
I come across a lot of people who want to escape their material existence for something that they consider more spiritual, but your books seem to say that life has taken you in a very different direction.
This life is an expression of all that we are, and that the everyday things we do in our lives are doorways, if we want to use them as such, into the vastness or beingness. And that beingness expresses itself in what we do every day. So it's not one or the other. It's both. The expression of both in everyday life. And for me, the interesting thing about food and the compulsion with food, and then recently with money, having lost all of our money, is that I saw again with money, as I saw with food, that I had been guilty of that split of feeling like the world of money and finances and dealing with money and thinking about money and being conscious about money was spiritually incorrect. And so if I wanted to, and I guess I did want to, because that's exactly how I acted, have a sense of myself as being spiritual, then I blocked out the world of money and was therefore unconscious about it, what I did with it, and what I eventually saw that I was unconscious about was my own energy, how I spent my energy, how I used my energy. And that is definitely not, that unconsciousness and spirituality don't go together at all.
Would you say spirituality for you is this life lived fully from a place of inner wholeness?
That's exactly what I would say. Particularly about money, I'd say I think I'm entering a subject in which there is huge fear and lack of interest in discovering what's going on, because I think so many people have given up or feel helpless, terrorized, anxious, and don't believe it's possible to become conscious about that.
Yes.
So I'd say if there's a theme with both Women, Food, and God and Lost and Found, I'm finding that my biggest work is to be a demonstration of the possibility of being interested in what you, number one, aren't interested in, because you don't think there's any point. Number two, what you've given up on. because I think that people have given up on a lot of the areas that I touch on.
Yes.
Their relationship with food and the hopelessness that's underneath that. That's what I'm most interested in. I'm interested in I'm interested in food and I'm interested in money, but I'm interested in the fact that they are the transport or the vehicles for this sense of identity or self or constellation of self that we believe we are and can't help but being. And so I'm interested in using those things to examine that question. Really? Is that really who you are? Truly? And I think because there's so much hopelessness around both of those, particularly around money. I'm experiencing now around money what I experienced around food. When I started talking about using food as a doorway and that we were living transmitters of who we took ourselves to be, and so let's examine that. People just sort of like, huh? And then, food was about dieting and willpower and being thin, and that was it. And now it's the same thing that I'm experiencing with the money. It's impossible to shed light on this, to be conscious about this, to use this. It's too out there. It's too material. It's cut and dry. We have to get through this and fix this so that we can get to the real stuff. And I'm surprised, although not really, because I think that's what my attitude was towards money before we lost ours. So it shouldn't be that surprising to me, but because it's been almost 2.5 years since we lost our money, and I've been steeped in this fascination and passion about examining the unconsciousness around it, I forgot what it was like to be utterly closed to it.
Geneen, thank you for talking with us today. And your books again, Women, Food and God, and the newest one, Lost and Found.